All right, I know exactly what you're thinking. You saw the title and thought, oh, this is going to be juicy, this is going to be wild, maybe even inappropriate, but let me tell you something right now, this is not about what you think. Yes, I said it. Yes, I meant it. But the deeper truth behind that sentence, the thing that nobody's saying out loud, is that this has nothing to do with sex and everything to do with power, real power. Not domination, not ego, not performance. I'm talking about the kind of power that walks into a room and shifts the entire atmosphere without saying a damn word. You know what 90% of women are actually craving? What we're drawn to, what turns us on in ways we don't always have language for. It's not a perfect jawline, it's not the bank account, and no, it's not some number on a ruler, it's confidence, presence. Self-awareness, that's what we're talking about here. That's the penis of that women, and honestly, most people are starving for in this world. It's that bold, grounded energy that says, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I don't need to prove it to anyone. You want to know why this matters? Because we live in a time where people are starving for realness, starving for something that cuts through the noise, the filters, the nonsense. You can be attractive, successful, charismatic as hell, but if you're not anchored in something deeper, you're forgettable, and women, we're not stupid. We feel energy before you even open your mouth. We pick up on insecurity, on bravado, on ego trying to hide fear. You can't fake it, not with us, and I don't say that to shame anyone. I say that because we need more people, more men, more women, more humans who are willing to stop performing and start showing up. We need the kind of presence that says, I'm not here to impress you, I'm here to be real with you. That kind of presence, that's sexy, that's magnetic, that's what people remember, that's what makes knees weak and hearts open. That's the penis and 90% of women crave, even if they don't use that word. It's about someone who can hold space, who can be soft and strong at the same time, who listens when we speak and makes us feel safe enough to show up fully. Someone who doesn't make us shrink, someone who sees us, not just our bodies, our whole selves, because let's be honest, we've all met people who check the boxes on paper but leave us completely cold. You know what I'm talking about. Great on the outside, polished, attractive, maybe even successful, but they've got no depth, no connection, no spine, no truth. And then you meet someone else, maybe they're not perfect. Maybe they're not tall or ripped or rich, but damn, they walk into your life with presence, with authenticity. They speak with intention. They know how to look you in the eyes without flinching. They know how to show up in hard conversations. They're not afraid to be seen. That's the thing that makes women go, yes, more of that. Because it's not about the physical, it's about the emotional and mental and energetic, and when that's aligned, the physical becomes irrelevant. The truth is, most people spend their entire lives looking for the right technique, the right pickup line, the right brand of cologne, the right dating app bio, hoping that something on the outside will do the work that only self-awareness and confidence can do on the inside. And I hate to break it to you, but none of that matters if you haven't done the inner work. None of it matters if you're still walking around needing validation from every woman you meet. None of it matters if you can't sit alone in silence and like the person you're sitting with. And let me say something to the women in the room, because this isn't just about men. We fall into this trap too. We've been told to shrink, to play small, to not intimidate anyone, to lower our standards, to laugh at jokes that aren't funny just to be likable. Hell no. We like confidence too in ourselves. We like boundaries. We like honesty. We like not settling for scraps and calling it intimacy. And we damn sure like people who stop talking about what they're going to do and start doing it. So yeah, the title might have made you raise your eyebrows, but the truth behind it, it's deep, it's human, it's real, and if you're still thinking this is about sex, then you miss the point entirely. It's about who you are when no one's watching. It's about whether you're hiding behind performance or actually showing up in your life. It's about presence over performance, substance over style, truth over tactics. Because 90% of women, and honestly, most people, are no longer impressed by noise. We're attracted to grounded, present, emotionally intelligent human beings who know how to take up space without stealing it, who listen more than they talk, who know how to love themselves enough that they don't need to beg for yours. So stop worrying about whether you measure up physically. Stop obsessing over what to say or how to act. Start asking better questions. Start showing up for yourself. Start learning how to sit in discomfort without running. Start healing your wounds instead of bleeding them all over your relationships. Because that deep, grounded, confident energy, that's what makes people lean in. That's what gets remembered. That's what keeps people coming back. That's what 90% of women, and frankly, anyone worth your time like the most, period. Confidence is more attractive than appearance. It's one of those truths that people tend to overlook, especially in a world that's obsessed with image. Everywhere you turn, there's pressure to look a certain way, to fit a mold, to chase some ideal that keeps shifting. The media bombards us with curated photos, impossible standards, and the illusion that if you just look right, if your body is shaped a certain way, your skin is clear, your jawline sharp enough, your clothes expensive enough, then you'll finally be enough. Then people will love you. Then you'll be wanted, chosen, respected. But the truth, that kind of validation doesn't last, and it doesn't run deep. Confidence, on the other hand, isn't about how you look. It's about how you feel about yourself and how you carry that into the world. You've met people like this. They're not necessarily the best looking person in the room, but something about them draws you in. You can't quite explain it, but they have a pull. They walk with certainty. They don't shrink. They don't seek permission. They take up space in a way that feels honest, not arrogant. They don't chase approval because they've already given it to themselves. That is the power of confidence. You can see it in the way someone stands, in the way they enter a room, in the way they speak to others. Confident people don't perform. They're not trying to impress you with flashy words or superficial charm. They speak clearly and calmly because they're not worried about whether you'll like them. They like themselves, and that kind of energy, it's magnetic. You feel safer with someone who's confident because you know they're not pretending. You can trust that what they're saying is real. You can relax around them because they're relaxed in their own skin. That kind of confidence doesn't come from having a perfect body or flawless skin. It comes from doing the work, from knowing who you are, what you value, and what you're not willing to compromise. It comes from owning your past without shame and showing up with your whole self, flaws and all. It's not loud, it doesn't need to be. Confidence doesn't need to shout. It's steady, it's consistent. It shows up when the lights are off and nobody's watching. Think about the people you're genuinely drawn to, not because of how they look, but because of how they make you feel. Chances are, they're not the ones constantly trying to prove themselves. They're the ones who are simply being themselves. There's nothing sexier than someone who knows who they are and isn't afraid to let you see it. That's what stays with you. That's what creates real attraction. When you focus only on appearance, you're playing a losing game. Looks fade, trends change, the bar keeps moving. But when you focus on building your confidence from the inside out, you become unshakable. You stop living for likes and start living from alignment. You stop needing attention and start commanding respect. You begin to trust yourself in conversations, in relationships, in decision making. And people feel that. They don't always know how to name it, but they respond to it. It's the reason someone will choose a confident person over a perfect one every single time. Confidence also has a ripple effect. When you carry it, you give others permission to do the same. You shift the tone in a room. You lift conversations. You bring clarity. You stop playing small and start showing up. You stop worrying about rejection because you're not looking for someone to complete you. You're already complete. That kind of energy is rare, it's unforgettable, and it draws the right people toward you, not because you're trying to manipulate their perception, but because your energy speaks for itself. There's also freedom in confidence. When you're confident, you stop editing yourself, you stop hiding your truth, you stop apologizing for taking up space, you begin to lead, to speak, to act without second guessing. You let go of perfectionism because you realize you were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be you, and that is more than enough. Presence and emotional intelligence are magnetic. There's something about a person who is truly present with you, who's actually there in the moment, that instantly sets them apart. In a world full of distractions, fake connections, and surface-level conversation, being fully present has become almost rare. But when someone shows up, when they're really listening, really paying attention, really tuned into you and the energy in the room, it's unforgettable. That presence communicates value. It tells you that you matter, that this moment matters, that the connection matters.
You feel it before they speak, and that's what creates an undeniable pull. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room or trying to dominate attention. It's the exact opposite. It's the quiet confidence that says, I'm right here with you.
No phone in their hand, no glaze, dover look in their eyes while waiting for their turn to speak, no rehearsed line or forced laugh, just stillness, attention, and awareness. When someone is fully present, they make you feel like the only person in the world. That is magnetic. That's the kind of interaction people remember long after it ends. Now combine that presence with emotional intelligence, and what you have is rare. Emotional intelligence means being able to read the room. It means sensing when something feels off and knowing how to respond. It's about knowing when to speak, when to listen, when to give space, and when to lean in. It's about regulating your own emotions so that you're not reactive, defensive, or constantly seeking control. People with high emotional intelligence don't try to win arguments. They try to understand. They don't compete for dominance. They create safety, and safety is the foundation of trust, intimacy, and real connection. People crave being seen and understood more than anything else. We don't always say it out loud, but deep down, every one of us wants someone who gets us, who doesn't just hear the words, but picks up on the energy behind them, who notices what we're not saying, who checks in when we pull away, who sees our discomfort and doesn't try to fix it, just sits with it. That level of emotional intelligence, when paired with presence, is irresistible. Because it makes us feel safe to be ourselves. We live in a world where people are quick to respond but slow to listen. They jump to conclusions, they interrupt, they assume, they offer advice when you just needed a witness. Presence and emotional intelligence are what cut through that noise. They slow things down, they build intimacy, they say, I'm not here to fix you, change you, impress you, or one-up you. I'm just here with you. That energy is grounding. It calms anxiety, it disarms defenses, it allows authenticity to emerge. When someone has presence, they command attention without asking for it. They make eye contact that's steady but not aggressive. They speak with clarity, not volume. They don't rush. They don't fidget. They're not trying to be somewhere else. And when they combine that with emotional intelligence, their communication becomes intuitive. They know how to hold space for others. They don't shrink when someone else gets emotional. They lean in. They don't run from vulnerability. They welcome it. That kind of awareness isn't taught in a textbook. It's developed through self-awareness, through curiosity, through real, messy human experience. People who embody this energy don't chase validation because they're anchored. They don't need to perform because their presence is the message. They've done the work to understand their own triggers, their emotional patterns, their blind spots, and because of that, they show up differently in relationships. They're not ruled by ego or fear. They don't project their insecurities onto others. They respond rather than react. They know how to apologize. They know how to forgive. They know how to stay grounded in difficult conversations, and that emotional fluency is powerful. It doesn't just make relationships better, it makes everything better. When you're around someone who has both presence and emotional intelligence, you feel it in your nervous system. You relax, you breathe deeper, you feel seen. You're not waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're not performing, you're just there being yourself, and that feels like freedom. That's what people are craving. Not perfection, not polished words, not over-the-top gestures. Just someone who's actually present and emotionally aware enough to handle real human connection. That's what creates depth. That's what creates trust. That's what creates chemistry that doesn't burn out after a few days. It doesn't fade when the adrenaline wears off. It builds, it strengthens, it lasts. Grounded energy creates real connection. It's the kind of energy that doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't chase attention or dominate a room with noise. It doesn't seek approval or try to impress. Instead, it settles, it stands firm, it listens, it invites rather than demands, and in a world that's constantly pulling people into chaos, into performance, into the race to be seen, grounded energy is what actually draws people in. It's the still point in the middle of the storm, the person who isn't thrown off by pressure, by conflict, by uncertainty. That kind of presence makes people feel like they can finally exhale. Grounded energy doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean being silent or small. It means being rooted in who you are, knowing your values, knowing what triggers you, knowing what matters and what doesn't. It means you've done enough inner work that you're not constantly reacting to your environment. You're responding from a deeper place. People feel that. You walk into a room and there's something calming about you. You speak and people listen not because you're loud, but because you're clear. You touch someone's arm or make eye contact, and it feels intentional. It feels safe. That's the power of groundedness. There's a huge difference between confidence that's grounded and confidence that's performative. Performative confidence looks shiny. It knows the right words to say, the moves to make. But under pressure, it crumbles. It gets defensive. It takes everything personally. Grounded confidence, on the other hand, doesn't need a script. It knows how to pause, how to breathe, how to own a mistake without spiraling. That's what creates real connection. When people can trust that you're not going to fall apart the moment something doesn't go your way, that you can handle discomfort, that you don't need to control the narrative all the time. In relationships, grounded energy is everything. Because when two people are connecting, it's not just about attraction. It's about safety. Safety is what allows people to open up, to relax, to be seen fully without performing. And you can't create that kind of safety if your energy is frantic, anxious, or driven by ego. When someone is grounded, they're not trying to fix or rescue anyone. They're just present. They're there with you. And in that presence, real intimacy is born. When your energy is grounded, your boundaries are clearer. You know what you're available for and what you're not. You're less likely to take things personally. You don't get swept away by other people's chaos. You're not reactive, and that stability becomes a gift to everyone around you. People trust you more. They feel more at ease in your presence. They want to be near you not because you're entertaining or flashy, but because you feel solid. And solid is rare. Being grounded also means knowing what's yours to carry and what's not. In relationships, it's easy to take on other people's emotions, to try to manage their moods, to lose yourself in trying to meet their expectations. But grounded energy holds its center. It knows how to support without absorbing. It knows how to stay connected without losing itself. That's the kind of presence that creates balance, not codependence. It doesn't pull people in with neediness. It attracts them with calm clarity. You become magnetic not by doing more, but by being more anchored. You become someone people open up to, not because you ask a million questions or have the perfect advice, but because your energy feels safe. Steady, unrushed, that's what makes someone unforgettable. That's what turns a conversation into a connection. That's what transforms small talk into depth. Grounded energy also means you're not easily swayed by other people's opinions. You know how to listen without absorbing everything. You don't need to be liked by everyone because you've made peace with who you are. That inner peace radiates outward. It's what makes people lean in. It's what makes them feel like you're not just present, but real. There's no agenda, no performance, just presence. When your energy is grounded, you're able to notice more. You're more attuned to what's happening below the surface. You notice shifts in tone, in body language, in silence. You can hold space for someone's vulnerability without needing to rush to fix it. You can sit in discomfort without escaping it. That ability to hold space, to stay grounded in the middle of someone else's storm, is a rare kind of strength. It's not about having the right words. It's about offering calm, offering consistency, offering presence without pressure.